Manager want me to hand over source code for tools I built, prelude to getting fired? So I've been working at a company for a close to 4 years now. Most of my role was built up from scratch, with a portion of it being temporarily handed me to when my old manager left and they were looking for his replacement, which the new manager never actually bothered even learning, so I keep doing those tasks. To help my workflow, I wrote multiple bits of software dedicated to helping my workflow, which was originally cleared with the previous manager. Yesterday my manager told me to hand over source code, documentation on how to use, and executables for all the tools I developed. He claims that he needs this in case I ever go on a long vacation, or if I am for some reason unable to work due to an accident or sickness, so that others could use the software. However, this doesn't explain why he needs the source code, and when I asked that, he just said, in case we need to change or fix bugs. Which again makes no sense. I am the only one who knows programming in the company, so the chances that they find an urgent bug and hire a freelancer to fix it all during my vacation sick leave seems extremely unbelievable low. The way I see it, they're trying to achieve two goals. 1. Thanks to holding those tools I developed, I have leverage, and using that leverage I keep negotiating pay raises every year, handing over the source code, executables, and to give documentation on how to use those tools. I will forfeit a major part my leverage and be in a better position to deny me a wage increase in the yearly review. 2. Once my leverage is gone, they can replace me with a cheaper employee. With tools and documentation, the only thing he won't be able to do in such a case is to support the code, but they can hire a freelancer for those cases. No need to keep me full-time. Let me be clear, this is not a software company, and my role has no actual programming requirement. These are just tools I built to make my life easier and were done with the blessing of the previous manager, where he had no stipulation about demanding the source code. So, how do I play this so I don't lose my leverage or my job? Edit. A few clarifications based on comments. 1. I am not in the US, so US law obviously doesn't apply. I will consult with a local lawyer. 2. Some explanation on the timeline. A. I started at the company close to 4 years ago. B. I've been getting pay raises every year since, because I keep asking for them and saying look at the software solutions plural. I keep making more as I need it. I wrote to improve productivity. C. A year and a half ago my previous manager left. After a short gap another manager was hired. D. Now, a year after he started, he suddenly out of the blue asks me for the source code despite showing no issue with it before. This shift is what's fueling my concern. 3. I don't want to leave. It's a good job with a good salary. I just want some job security to know I won't get kicked out the moment I hand over the tools. Obfuscate the code as much as you can. Were these tools developed on company-paid time and/or with company-paid tools? If either answer is yes, a fake, the company owns the intellectual property of your work, and its request must be complied. Just send him some stripped-down bullshit. He doesn't code. He's not gonna compile it or something. If the tools were made under your own time, sorry, but I lost the source code a long time ago. If the tools were made under company time, sorry, but I lost the source code a long time ago. Not legal advice, but there is little he can do to prove you otherwise. In either case you have to really lose it, put it in a USB and put it under your pillow or something. Or better yet, use Veracrypt to create an securely encrypted drive to put all the source code within. Good luck with your mischief. Let me be clear. This is not a software company. And my role has no actual programming requirement. These are just tools I built to make my life easier. First mistake was probably telling them about it at all. To be fair, it's entirely possible that the company has valid reasons for wanting the source code. They have to plan for continuity if you are unable to unwilling to continue the role. What if you die? Get sick? Leave the company? You are in a tough spot. And it seems that your value is lower from the day-to-day side now. I would suggesting doing the bare minimum for their request, while still fulfilling it, and frame the conversation as the software requires constant adjustments. Just make sure they can't easily replace you. If I had a guess, yeah, they're preparing to give you the axe. Check out some of the job ads in your area. It's possible you could find them posting the job. As others have gone into detail on, they own the works you did on the job. Document the use. Perhaps poorly comment your source code. Perhaps poorly. But do the work as requested. If they do replace you, then it's on the new guy to figure things out. If he can't, that's on the company for choosing to cheap out. As long as you can make the claim that an average worker of the same position could reasonably use the documentation, you're in the clear. You need legal help with this. There are a lot of reasons to need this when you aren't getting fired. Only you know your workplace well enough to say you're getting fired, but this reads as a bit of paranoia to me. Smart employers require documentation for everything. If an employee creates new intellectual property as part of their job, the employer owns that intellectual property. Whatever tools you develop during your employment maybe very much belong to your employer, and they can very much legally take over everything. Will your employer pursue this via legal action if you don't give them the codes? Who knows? Did you develop these tools for the company while getting paid? If so, it is theirs. Still, fuck them, but in a sophisticated way. Create a repo with the skeleton of the code and remove the bulk of the computation to server-side. If you're experienced enough, you can create an AWS environment and deploy a server. Let that be a missing piece in case they fire you. I'd even name the repo One Piece. Let me be clear, this is not a software company. And my role has no actual programming requirement. These are just tools I built to make my life easier and were done with the blessing of the previous manager, where he had no stipulation about demanding the source code. It may belong to the company, but you can write that code all kinds of crazy ways. You could have it check to see if it's you using the code. You could have errors you've never fixed and just knew to account for. There's any number of ways this code could be crazy exotic and essentially worthless without your continued employment. You know what to do. Write in the most convoluted way possible. You fucked up in letting them know that you made anything. On any given week, I probably do 3-4 hours of actual work at my job. The rest is all automated with tools built by me that I ain't telling anyone at work about ever. Pretty sure they own software that you coded while on the company dime. Sorry, but all of that source code was destroyed since I was never paid to create it. I would be happy to negotiate a price to recreate the code for you. When I've had this happen, it was because the boss was a clueless boomer and they wanted to pay some nosy contractor 5x my pay to look over my shoulder and ultimately go, yeah, that looks fine. I've honestly tried to get the boss on the Git repo several times in this case, and eventually the invite expires because they never bother to click on it. Tell your boss to go to school for coding. Regardless of my feelings about the nature of the employment relationship, it is also terrible practice to have such a key person risk, and they would be right to correct that. Oops, I lost the code. It will take a long time to recreate.